So good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us from where you're joining us from. It's an honor to have you join us as we go through the discussion for the day. My name is Caroline Ndebu Abege. I will be your moderator for the day. And once again, karibuni sana. So it's exactly 7 p.m. East African time. And we would like to start with a word of prayer. And I would like to invite Lillian to please start us off with a word of prayer, and then I'll pick it up from there. Lillian, karibu. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Caroline. Good evening, everyone. Kindly let us pray. Our dear Most High God, Father, we thank you for this beautiful evening. We thank you for being with us throughout the day. Thank you for even giving us this opportunity to learn, God. Thank you for our facilitators who you've given time to be with us and to teach us. Father, may you guide us, may your wisdom prevail in this session, and may you allow us, give us more knowledge so that we can know how to take care of our little ones and even the teens, Lord. Father, thank you for this moment, and we thank you again, even for those who have gotten time to plug in. Father, may you be with them, and those who are still trying to plug in, Father, be with them wherever they are. And every message we are going to get here, Father, may it reach each and every person who is in need of it, Father. We pray this in Jesus' name. We pray and believe.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Lillian. We appreciate. Today, I want to start with just telling us a little bit about Gifted Gems before I bring in our very able panelists. We are very excited to just learn one from another, and then we will go on from there. So Gifted Gems is an organization that works with caregivers of children with autism. We do provide, we create awareness on autism. We provide psychosocial support and just training caregivers on basic management skills. So we are really keen on early identification, early diagnosis, and intervention. And so all our programs or all our activities, most of them are geared towards achieving this, because we know that with early intervention, our children can have a better chance of having, a near normal life. And so that is what we do on a day-to-day basis. This webinar is actually an exception, this one and the next, but I think it's still tied into our mandate. An exception because it widens the group that we normally work with. And so today we are talking about teenagers in the spectrum. And then the next webinar will be talking about adults in the spectrum. We recognize that our children are children today, but they are growing. And if we equip ourselves with knowledge, we will be able to help them transition better. And one of the ways to do that is to learn from a fellow caregiver. And that's why we are very excited about this webinar. Thank you for creating the time. Feel free to ask the questions. Let's learn one from another. And without much further ado, we have very able panelists today. And I want to invite them to just introduce themselves. I want to start with Mr. Kilavi. Kindly, Mr. Kilavi, introduce yourself. And karibu sana.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening once again. Good evening, everybody.
Evening to you.
Thank you. So my name is Martin Kilavi, and I'm honored to join you tonight. in this timely conversation. Well, I wear many hats. First of all, I am a father to two young adults who experience autism, dyslexia, and schizophrenia. I'm also the founder and director of Autism Disability Africa, which is a disability-focused organization that works with children and youth and their caregivers with disabilities. It is also a grassroots organization based in Kenya that champions inclusion, awareness, and empowerment of the same. Well, as a therapist, a caregiver, and advocate, my work is deeply rooted in lived experiences, not just as a professional, but also as a parent who has walked this road, well, through its valleys and mountaintops, and so on and so forth. At Oshidis, we offer therapy, we run skills programs, we carry out advocacy, and organize support initiatives that touch the lives of families and schools, communities. And we believe that no one should be left behind. I think with that, I will pen off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Kilavi. Even as I bring in the other panelists, probably you could tell us where you are located for the therapists to, for the participants to get to know.
Thank you. Thank you for that. The organization is based in Athi River town, place called Gimu. Gimu is Gimu, and we are in Machakos County. Gimu, Athi River, Machakos County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I will start with you because I'm seeing our other panelists also joining. They're about to join.
Okay.
So I think let's start with your story. Please share more. You've told us you're a caregiver. Please tell us more about your story.
Well, like I said, my name is Martin. I am a father to two incredible young adults who experience autism, schizophrenia, and dyslexia. Joshua is 25 years old, and Sarah is 19 years old. All experience these multiple disabilities. And I don't know, but I also want to say that I'm also a single parent. I'm a single dad to the two. And we are here. Joshua today is not home. He's in school. Joshua has studied. He's gone through primary school and high school. And he's gone through college. He's trained as a chef, though not seriously practicing now. Why? Because he has transitioned. He's going to a Christian Mission Center where he's learning the German language. And hopefully, we'll see which other door opens. Sarah is here with us. Maybe she will pop in at some stage. You'll get to see her if my camera will be on. Sarah is also in school. She's a candidate this year. And besides that, Sarah has accomplished quite a lot in terms of talent. She's a great worship leader. She's a winner in the International Sing Award in South Africa last year. She got nominated, and we traveled to South Africa, and the South Africans and the other Africans there were very excited to see a great singer in the spectrum managed to do all this. And I think that's it. You said I talk about myself?
Yes, right. Story.
All right. Yeah, where do I begin from? I used to work before I began the organization that works with the children with disabilities. I'm a trained aircraft engineer, but now I'm not practicing aviation. I do this work. Why? Because I found myself, having raised Joshua and Sarah, I discovered that I've got a lot of passion towards the same. And this I developed over time, raising them It's not been a very smooth journey. It's been like this, up and down. We've suffered rejection big time. And that's the reason that we amplify awareness around hidden disabilities. Because if we talk about schools, yeah, we've not quite a number of schools, and the doors were shut on our faces, because many schools are not inclusive. Many schools do not know what to do with a learner who is able different, or rather in the neurodivergence space. So it's been a challenge. Back in the day, it was very difficult, but now things are getting easier and easier because of the organizations that are championing for inclusion. So we are beginning to see quite a great change. Also, by the time my children were born, I think there was a lot of stigma in the community. So we've suffered a great deal of fighting stigma from all corners, religious spaces, from the estate, from everywhere you go, the malls, people stare. I still know that today people stare, and that's stigma in itself. You don't want to see people stopping what they're doing to look at you because you're kind of behaving different from them or from what they have known. So it's been quite a journey. Hospitals as well. But by and by, things are getting easier. People are getting more exposed and more knowledgeable about autism, about the hidden disabilities and disabilities at large, because of the advocacy work that I said earlier that many organizations, OPDs are doing, and also the response from and the support from the government. I feel we are headed somewhere. Spaces are beginning to open. Our children are getting acknowledged and allowed to go to school, workplaces. We have programs in Oshidis that foster for the same. So we're engaging employers, and they're beginning to look brighter at us and allowing our skilled youth with disabilities and mainstreaming them to the workforce. So basically, we are moving from a place of, I feel so, in as much as we could be making baby steps, but I feel that we are moving from a place of pity and sympathy to opportunities and empowerment. Yeah.
Wow, that is strong. We are moving from pity and sympathy to opportunities and empowerment.
Yes.
Because yes.
I strongly believe, having worked with my children for the last 25 plus 19 years, you look like you came from school the other day. What is 19 plus 25? It's around 64. 19, 25, 54. Yeah. So somebody told me I have an experience of 54 years in this, because Sarah is 19 and Joshua is 25. So it's true. It's true. I have that that experience, and out of it, I've learned a lot of things. One thing that stands out is a person with disabilities does not need sympathy. And at Oshidis, we believe in that, and we speak it. We speak it just like it is. Do not sympathize. Do not sympathize with a person with disabilities, a child with disabilities, a youth. What they need is opportunities. They don't need sympathy. They need an opportunity to education and an opportunity to work, and they will always prove themselves. No sympathy, no. Opportunities is what they need, and support. Let's give them a chance. Let them go to school. Those who are running schools, let's admit them in schools. Let's give them a chance to grow with the rest of the children. The discrimination or exclusion brings a lot of mess. And they are not coming to join the school to bring the means cost down. No, because many schools that most are private, they're looking at it that way because they want, but that is not it. And again, workplaces. Once the youth with disabilities are skilled, because we gave them an opportunity to go to learn a skill, then we mainstream them to employment. Also, the employers, open up your spaces. allow this skilled youth with disabilities to access and work like any other person. They contribute meaningfully to the economy. They're very productive. So I think on the reverse, it is us, the regular ones, who could be a bit disabled, because we close a lot of spaces for children and youth with disabilities. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for that. We have to salute you. Indeed, 54 years is not just no mean feat if we put it that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
I see Isabella has joined us. Mwalimu, karibu sana. I want to move over to you.
Poa.
Yes. Salimie, maybe tell us about an introduction, who you are, and your story a little bit.
Huh? Auntie?
We can't hear you. Let me. I want to.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you
I
now.
know now.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. First, I would like to apologize. I had some challenges joining the Zoom. Isabella. I'm a mother of a boy who is almost 17 years old. I'm a teacher. My boy, I got him when I had 2 already. And by the time I got this boy, I had already learned about special needs education and had specialized. I'm a teacher by profession. I had specialized in teaching learners with visual impairment. So I got this boy. Usually I used to have challenges with pregnancy. So the boy came early. I was in KU doing my first degree. Then I was rushed to Kenyatta, where I got him before the due date. Now, he was born premature, but he grew up very fast. You couldn't know that he had any challenge. I started noticing some challenges when he was 1 year. He could not look at you. He had not started walking. The other 2 started walking by the time they reached 11 months. So I noticed something. By the time he reached around 15 months, I took him to hospital, but the doctors said it is just a delayed milestone. So it continued like that until when he was 5 is when he was diagnosed to be on spectrum. But I myself had already noticed some challenges. So I can say the challenges that I have experienced right away from the doctors. They could not tell that this boy was on the spectrum. At school, I have moved with this boy from school to school. I have cried severally until I can no longer cry. Now I can talk as I smile. But my boy is almost 17, and I can say I'm happy as we are moving on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. We hear you. We hear you.
Yes.
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 So when you got the diagnosis, and now to you and Martin, even as we wait for Paul and Madam Irene, she had indicated she might come in a bit late. How
Yes.
just taking you back so that now we get to teenage. How was that for you, and how did you manage to accept and start looking for help? Starting with Isabella.
Okay, accepting has been a challenge. I already had learned about special needs, but you know, when you tell the other parents, you tell them you have to accept. But when it came to me myself, it took time. I didn't. I knew the boy was on the spectrum, but accepting was very difficult. I tried to take him to hospital. They tried to give him some therapy. Others came, they tell you this boy is not supposed to undergo therapy. Now, accepting was a problem. I used to think maybe there's some treatment that we can give the boy so that he cannot be on the spectrum. I even went for food supplements, but his problem is that during his early years, eating was a challenge. He was only eating one type of food. Now, giving him the supplements was a problem. So accepting was not easy. It took me time, even the people who are my relatives, the teachers who are close to me, and even other friends. They were telling me, this boy, you know, the boy is not autistic. The boy is not on the spectrum. So you are just taking time. Why can't you take the boy to hospital? Maybe he can be operated on. Maybe he can be given treatment. There are those who even tell you, can you take the boy to the pastor? This boy, you are leaving him. He can be prayed for. But I myself knew when I got the diagnosis, I knew this is a condition that can be treated maybe through therapy, not spiritual. So I used to tell people, even now, I tell them that I know the challenges that my son is going through. And it is not spiritual, it is medical. So accepting, I can say where I am now, I have accepted. But sometimes things happen. You see the children who are born together with him. Like now they are in Form 4, Form 3. Then you start asking yourself, why? Where did I go wrong? I sometimes sit and ask myself, maybe this boy, if I accepted to undergo cesarean, maybe he would not have turned out to be the way he is because he was induced. So there are so many things that it still goes on. You accept, you say you have accepted, but at some point you get comments from people, you see the progress is not moving on, you just come back to where you came from. So accepting, I can say I have accepted, but not really fully. Sometimes I ask myself questions. Why me? Why him?
Wow. Thank you for being so candid. I know there are so many of us who are in that space. So even hearing it from a caregiver
Yeah.
speaks volumes. So thank you for being candid. We say it is a journey, not a destination.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Mr. Kilavi, how was it for you to accept that this is how things are?
Well, it was not easy. It was not easy at all, at all. Kwanza, I remember when the firstborn came, Joshua, being first time parents, you know, everybody goes to the maternity ward expecting to find this bouncing infant, and you know the expectations that come with that. And then you receive that, and off you go home. And by and by, the delayed milestones begin to show. Because the neighbor's child is walking, yours is still not walking. You know, feeding patterns begin to look different, and overall there's delayed milestones. So now the reality begins to hit you, especially when they begin to go to school. And the teachers, I guess nowadays they are because of the exposure and the awareness that has been created. It's not like how it used to be back in the day. Because back in the day, the teachers will begin to call you and say, look, your son cannot be with us, or your daughter cannot be with us because they are unable to comprehend basic things like abu, those kind of things. And that, as a parent, it puts you down. It puts you down. It's not easy. But before we go there, there are possible things that you begin to see in terms of health, which are very disturbing. And this, I must bring it out at this point. They're called convulsions. Most of these children begin by convulsing. And that's it's a point of break or make, because if you have the right interventions to control convulsions, you can spare your baby. You can help your baby a lot. But if you allow them to keep convulsing, it creates more damage. And my son was convulsing quite a lot. And being a first-time parent, of course, it used to throw me off balance. But again, I want to also admit and thank God for bringing a doctor, is now late, Dr. Viva, who worked with us and introduced us to management for convulsions, which greatly helped Joshua. What am I trying to say?
Hi,
I'm
guys.
saying that.
Hi, welcome. Yes, please go on. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So what am I saying? I'm saying with early interventions, like through health, medical approach, and also schools and learning institutions accepting our children to go to school and giving them an opportunity. It's a game changer. What the inclusion part, when we accept the children in every space of life, it's a game changer. And I want to urge any parent that listening to me, control the convulsions. The convulsions can make the matters which are already complicated more complicated. I also learned a few things. You got to grow a thick skin. When raising these children, you got to grow a thick skin because of lack of proper knowledge. People out there can be a little careless with words, and they can hurt you. There is a lot of judgment. Remind me your name, Gifts. What is your name?
My name is Caroline.
Caroline, thank you. Caroline, I have gone through a lot raising these kids, and I even I found myself at one point going through what the previous speaker said, something like people asking you to take your children for prayers. And these children are not demon possessed. They are not. They are not. They're just able different. They are just like that. But when you begin to tell people to take them for prayers, you're doing a lot of damage to the caregiver who should be able to stand strong for them, because now you're passing a very wrong message to them. If a child with autism needs prayers, they need prayers just like the other child, because they're not demon possessed. These are barriers and hurdles that as a caregiver, you must brave yourself to jump over, because some people from the community can really be mean, and they can tell you very bad things, bring you down. Cry, it is okay. When they hurt you, it is good. It's okay, just cry. But you know what? Move on. Pick yourself up and move on, because you are the voice to that child. You're the one who is going to make that child get acceptance in schools, acceptance in the community. So hata wakikuambia hivi na hivi, don't, it's good, enda to a corner, cry it out. But again, rise up and let's do this. So basically, I'm saying it's not easy. And we are not about to stop it, to stop the raising our children. That is what God gave us, and that is what we're going to do, regardless. So a thick skin, proper knowledge about that will begin by the medical doctors when you take your child there, and also speaking positive about your child and coming out with your children. Nataka mtembee na watoto wenu, walk with your children, go to the churches with your children, go to malls with your children, walk with them. Walk with them. Don't hide your child in the house or at home. Be proud. Even when the visitors come, bring your child out. Bring your child out. Don't hide your child. You will be advocating. You're creating awareness by so doing, and maybe you are not aware. That is the direction to go. They must be included. They count, and no one must be left behind. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I want to move. I see Paul and Irene have come in. So I can see there's some comments and questions. Please keep them coming. We shall address them as we move along. At this point, I want to welcome Paul. Paul, please introduce yourself and also tell us a little bit about you. Then we will go to Irene. Most welcome, Paul.
Hello, I hope you can see me.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm really sorry that I'm late. I'm actually still at the office. We had a little bit of celebration today, and yes. So my name is Paul Mugikidaka. I'm a lawyer. I'm also an advocate trainee at the Kenya School of Law currently, and with which I also sit at the Student Council. I work with United Disabled Persons of Kenya. I'm a legal personnel there. I just only say that. At the same time, I'm a neurodivergent with autism since birth. So I can just say that for now, unless there was an icebreaker.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you
And
for
I'm
that.
always about disability inclusion as my main advocacy. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Paul. We'll be getting to you shortly. Let me move now to Irene. Irene, kindly introduce yourself. Tell us about your journey a little bit. Let's unmute.
Can you see me? Let's see.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. Hi, Martin.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you in this forum. Hi.
Look at you. We meet again.
We do. These are small circles. Nice to see you.
Karibu sana. Good to see you. Good to see
Yeah.
you.
My name is Irene. Let me introduce myself. Irene Kegathi, Irene Muturi. Muturi is my maiden name. Kegathi is my husband's name. So I go by all, but in the disability circles, I've been known as Irene Kegathi for a very long time. I have a child with autism who's 30 years this year, the end of the year. We have walked a journey with her, and I'm actually glad that I'm here to listen to you, to hear you. I was telling Carol that I'm moving from the advocacy space. I feel that we have done our part. We need to create new spaces for autistic persons. And it's such an encouragement to see you, Paul, that yes, we are getting out there and we are doing different things. I am an advocacy, and I'm an advocacy person, a functional skill trainer, a special needs coach. Let me see what else I've done. I am the biggest mouth for my daughter and the loudest in the room. So as I sit here, I'm honored to be in your presence. I really feel that we need to have more spaces where we talk a little bit about autism, intellectual disabilities, dyslexia, because they all come together. It's a big umbrella that we are covering when we say we are in the autistic space. And so, yeah, Carol, thank you for inviting me. I think that's a little bit about me.
Thank you for that. We want to now move to the main topic of the day, teenage, autism, and navigating teenagehood. Maybe Paul, we can start with you, and we are really humbled to have you here. Thank you for coming, just sharing with us as caregivers, so that we can also know how to help or understand, um, and also, build a world of inclusivity around us. So tell us a little bit about um, your perspective, your journey, or how it's been teenage, especially teenagehood, how it's been, how, through your what would I call it, the length of your life, yeah. About saying.
First of all, I'm really happy. When I saw Mr. Martin Kilav in the poster, I never wanted to give him I'll be also in the meeting. I was really, really overjoyed. I've met
Thank you.
Sarah, I've met Joshua, and I really loved how Mr. Martin has raised them. So for me, I hate to be that guy who will tell you that my teenagehood was good. I always say it's one of the worst experiences I've ever had. This is because, first of all, I remember when I'm going to put my teenagehood in my high school life, if I may be allowed. I remember I'd gone to this prestigious national school named Sweet Health. So, and there's a way I couldn't cope up, and there's a way there was a change of environment, a change of routine that I couldn't even know what was happening. And I remember I used to convulse a lot of times. And you'll go to the hospitals, you'll go to neurosurgeons, neurologists, and they'll be like, this boy is okay. Until the time I was referred to a psychiatrist, and that's when I got diagnosed. And now coming back thinking, I was told I was diagnosed long time ago, but maybe during those times is when I have a cousin who's also autistic, but she's on high support. So when we were more of a comparative, so my parents were like, no. Um, mine is not autism and everything because um they're comparing me with my cousin, and it was wow. I told myself I want to be emotional today.
It's better to be, it's a free space.
So I remember when now um I was kept on medication, and I remember how I used to I will take it in the clinic, and I was told never tell people that were autistic because actually I was threatened that I'll be kicked out of the school and taken to a special approved school. The Wamumu. That was the threat because apparently the school was that prestigious. You could it will tarnish the me going out, my parents will be embarrassed that I got out of that school, considering how much I had joined. So for me, high school was the worst experiences. I remember also that's why whenever I see Mr. Martin on how supportive he was, sometimes I wish back and I say, I wish back I could have gotten that support that he gives to his son and daughter. Because for me, I was fighting alone. And it was really, really distasteful. And that's when masking I was a masculine person, and it helped me until right now in adulthood. Today I'll be giving many props to Mr. Martin Kilave because he's the one who told me
Thank you.
about autism as a disability, and he's the one who made me like come out. Actually, if it wasn't for him 2 years ago, I remember July 16th, 2023. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in these spaces fighting for the rights of persons with autism. So I remember even when he was coming to me, there was a lot of identity issues I was going through, and there was a lot of denial, but the acceptance. And I realized once you finally accept, you get the support, the group just comes automatically, and you find that you have that support system, and you find you have a niche, and you can now put your skills together. So that's what I can say about my teenage life, unless you want like specific instances. So for me today, I want to be on what to do. I'll be more of what you should not do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. You're really giving us insights, and we Paul, for what you went through, and you're doing a
Great.
good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. And you've mentioned Mr. Kelavi, and I want to move to Mr. Kelavi and just to bring him on board to tell us about now transitioning to teenage. And you're doing a great job, Mr. Kelavi. Please tell us about transitioning to teenagehood for your children, how it was, what did you notice, how did you handle it?
Thank you, Caroline, for that question. Well, teenagehood was, it still is a phase of many contrasts in this home. These are moments of breakthrough and moments of great challenge. So with Joshua and Sarah, we've had to unlearn a lot and embrace what works for them. What they can comprehend is what we work with. I've learned to accept them the way they are. Of course, some behaviors would be of lesser years of their version, but I've accepted to do that, to work with that. I've seen firsthand how puberty can amplify sensory sensitivities, trigger anxiety and increase resistance to change through their growth. But I've also seen them start to ask deeper questions. That tells me that whether you have autism or you're in that spectrum, you're still developing like any other child or youth. You're not so different, and they ask questions, they show curiosity, and they develop they develop new strengths. They are not like how they were yesterday. So yeah. So as a parent, what helps us a lot is listening more, structuring routines, and creating a safe emotional spaces for them. Because no one fits all approach works, but the presence and patience matters deeply. I will also say thank you so much, Paul. I felt really honored when you were speaking by recognizing what, by the grace of God, I was able to do with the other people. And today we stand so proud of you, all the achievements. Paul, you're giving us a lot of hope as parents for all other children and youth. Seeing you the school of law and pursuing your dreams, it's an indicator. It's a proof that the sky is the limit for anyone in the neurodivergent. Seeing Sarah go to South Africa and perform in the Sing International Awards and move multitudes of people, it makes us very proud of you guys. Seeing Matthias go under the hood of a car. Matthias has autism and fix machines. It is great. It's a great moment for us. So transitioning to teenagers is issues which I don't know whether some of them, Caroline, I'm able to discuss here in this
Yes,
forum.
please go ahead.
Some are crazy. Being in this space as a parent and listening to so many other parents and what they go through, there is an issue about transitioning that I don't know how the other parents who are here will feel, but sexuality is an issue. That transition, that I've seen it as a great challenge to both the person who is in the neurodivergent and also to their caregivers. And Caroline, the community has also proved to be a challenge to deal with this. I have been in this space for a while, and I'm sad to say that to report that I've had cases of people abusing and taking advantage of that transition gap and taking advantage of our youth, of our teenagers who are transitioning to adulthood. And there's a lot of mix up there. I don't know how best we can handle that, because it comes with abuse, and I don't feel as parents it's something that we want to watch happening to our children. So transitioning comes with a lot of that, a lot of behavior changes, and yeah, it takes more of listening and putting yourself as a caregiver in that place and work with the child. But it is possible. Ultimately, I want to say that it is doable. It's something that many have done, and it is doable. Yes, Caroline.
Okay, thank you so much for that. This is a safe space for us caregivers, for everybody, every last one of us here to learn, to discuss. So those are pertinent issues right there. For Isabella, Mwalim, how has it been for you? Your son your son?
Yeah, it's my son.
17 years.
He's almost 17.
Okay, so how has it been transitioning up until now?
Transitioning is, I can say, it comes with its own challenges. Physically, the boy, initially, he used to be a bit big. His eating was not good, but the body was a bit big. But towards teenager, when he reached around 12 years, physically, he started becoming slender. He's now a very slender boy and tall, but he's strong. He doesn't get sick. I can say he's strong. Physically, he's strong. Emotionally, as he was getting to around 12, 13, he started changing. You can see him sitting. You are just sitting in the sitting room. Then you see him started shedding tears. So we try to figure out what is really causing him to shed the tears. He has communication challenges. He just speaks few words, especially when he wants something. So when it comes to communication, he has challenges. So he cannot say exactly what is making him to cry or not. Sometimes when we are talking or discussing something about him, sometimes you start calling his name, you will hear him standing up and telling you to shut up. Then he has really changed. As the speaker who has just left has said, he has changed. As much as I say he has some challenges, he has also improved tremendously. Like we have tried as a family. He's my third born, and he has two brothers. So I only have boys. So the two brothers have been too close, and they have understood him. He has even improved that he has even overtaken them. The elder one, up to this time, or let me say, for some time now, the elder one has even forgotten to spread his bed because this one has taken the charge. I learned somewhere where they said, these children, when you leave them to take charge, they will start controlling me. So I can say that he has started controlling me in some areas, especially when it comes to cleanliness of the house. He has made sure that there is no sheet, ile ya kulalia, that can be kept spare. He makes sure that he picks all of them and spread the bed of the brothers. So the brothers don't even know how to spread the bed. He can just wake up one day, then he decides to remove all the curtains. He feels they are dirty. So when you try to tell him it is not like that, he will now start reacting. And he's reacting, he starts hitting his head with the hand. Something that was not there. Initially, he was biting. When he's annoyed, he was biting his hand. But now, he started hitting his head. But he has also, I can also say he has improved in that the relationship between him and us is very good, because he can, when he wants something and maybe, or he doesn't want something and you force him, he will just come and hold you and try to cry, telling you that whatever you are doing is not good, it is not good, or he doesn't want. So I have seen some challenges, but as the speaker, Mr. Ktavi, has said, the challenge, Kilavi, the challenge with sexuality. Up to now, I don't know whether it's because he's the last born, we treat him like a child, and we even don't know. I personally, and the father, and even the brothers, we don't know how to discuss with him the issue of sexuality. But he's very private. When he's taking a bath and people are trying, or the brothers are trying to assist him, he doesn't want. This one he started when he was very young. You can't touch him in the private part. That one, he doesn't want, and he shows that he cannot allow any other person to touch him. But my worry is that I don't know how to discuss with him, because I know at this time he's going towards adulthood. We will need some time to discuss with him the issue of sexuality. So that is how we are moving on. When it comes to school and transiting, it has been a challenge, because the schools, he is now in a public school, and we don't have a school for children who are on the spectrum. They are just mixed with others who are having, we call it cognitive challenges and the rest. So I always talk to the teachers, and I tell the teachers not to force him to do things that he's not able to do. Because when he decides that today I'm going to make a bracelet, he will concentrate on that the whole day. And if the teacher tries to tell him not to do it, that day will be ruined.
Okay. We have we lost you, or that is the contribution.
I think with the adulthood or transition, I rest my case.
We appreciate the insights. Maybe just to ask, when now through the phases of maybe feeding and aggression, how are you managing? What are some of the would I say strategies, or how are you managing? How do you manage?
Managing feeding or what?
Yeah, for
The
instance,
challenge.
feeding, or trying to overcome them, coping with them, like when it comes to aggression, how do you manage that when it happens?
Yeah, when it happens, I have learned to know that anytime he shows me those signs of aggression, there is the reason why he's doing that. So when he becomes aggressive, I keep quiet and then I talk to him. I talk to him. I tell him what you are doing is bad. Don't do this. And after some time, he has communication problem, but through that talking, he will tell you this is bad. He has problems with Kiswahili language, but when it comes to English, he will tell you this bad, this bad. So I try to talk to him and let him cool down. When it comes to the challenges, like he likes cooking, he's always in the kitchen with me, but he fears fire. So he doesn't want to hold anything that will burn his body. And one thing I can say that I like about him, he's hyper, but he doesn't injure himself. He doesn't like being hurt. So he always protects himself. So anytime I see him maybe becoming aggressive or crying, trying to do something, I know he's trying to send me a message that something is not going on well. Like the issue of spreading the bed. I have just left him. Anytime he picks the sheets, I tell him to pick the dirty one, put them on the basin. We will wash together with him. The rest, I give him to go and spread the beds. At this point, as I'm talking, he spreads the beds in the whole house because anytime he gets the sheet, he know this one is dirty. I'm supposed to spread the others. So I have learned to ensure that when he behaves in a certain way, there is a message he's trying to send. So I go with him, and in the process, I try to tell him this is wrong and this is right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Irene, I want to bring you on board. You have an adult on the spectrum, but how has it been, or was it for you when you think about teenage? What are some of the strategies that helped you and those that you've learned along the way?
I can say first of all, what I can the what helped me wasn't the best method. It's actually one of the worst things. So I've told you today, when I saw this topic, I was like, I'll be more on what you should not do than what you should do. So for me, first of all, you see, when most teenagers with autism, it finds them like when they're in high school, and you find now there's that change of environment, there's that change of routine, because you see what you used to do in primary is totally different from what you did in high school, especially whenever you get those high school teachers who are like, uh, whatever you did in primary, consider it useless. So there's that fear and everything. And for me, I can say, first of all, I did masking. And this is always a thing I always tell caregivers. Always like communicate with your child. As the neurodivergent is you during high school, during their teenage years. And first of all, I'm going to repeat what Mr. Martin Caleb was saying on abuse. In my line of work, I've dealt with some cases of teenage, especially, I don't know why it's teenage boys most of the time, being sexually assaulted. And you'll find that most of them, by the time the parents, the caregivers know that their teenage boys have been sexually assaulted, it's too late. They've been assaulted a lot of multiple times. And now uh, the mother is like, why didn't I listen when the child was telling me this? Why did I dismiss the child? And most of them have those regrets. Whenever they come tell us their story, it's all about the son or the daughter was trying to tell them about the abuse, but they neglected. And that's the thing. Most of the time, we find most caregivers neglect. So, to the caregivers here, I'm assuming most of the audience are caregivers. This time is don't let your children mask. I'm not gonna, and don't let them tell you everything is okay. Don't let them, like, if they're telling you something, there's a way you communicate. I remember during my time how I tried communicating with my parents and how the reception was. Especially, I always tell my colleagues and my friends, I thank God for um, I always thank God for COVID because COVID came with a lot of advocacy if you like looked into it. COVID now came into the issue of mental health. COVID came with the issue of climate change, AI, and so forth. It brought a lot of perspective. It brought a lot of. Now we're having Zoom meetings. I remember, and I was telling them if it wasn't for COVID, maybe you could have called us for a seminar. Maybe I couldn't even have known about this because maybe I couldn't even research at all or anything. So, um, because I remember during my time, you couldn't say. It was always about Tunimunda Wazimu, and it's all about being on sound mind. It's all about not belonging. So there's that. And also another lesson is all about accepting your child and let them belong. Make them feel as if they have a place in the society and make sure they feel like they can do it. Don't threaten your child. I sometimes see how caregivers they will come and whenever the child does something, they will like slap them or something, and I tell them, no, your child is trying to communicate to you, but you are there trying to dismiss your child. So yeah, you should not dismiss your child at all time. Try to see on ways they are trying to communicate with you. And on top of that, try to look at your child's potential. That's one positive thing. I remember when they saw I have a potential in like public speaking and everything, my parents will try their best in making sure like I speak in places just to boost my public speaking knowledge. And they will um like tell me of this and this and also encourage me to join the great debate the debaters. Actually, I think I don't know, but sadly they have not kept my name in it. I have a video on YouTube Um, I was participating in the Great Debaters contest. So that is one positive thing I can say. But all in all, just stop masking and let your child speak to you. That is what I can say for now. Unless you have any other questions, I am willing to speak about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for that. These are really great insights, and we appreciate even the vulnerability. Thank you for that. The questions I know will keep coming as we move along. Yeah, so now I want to move on to Irene. Irene, please go ahead. Tell us about how how you transitioned into teenage, how you handled it, probably even how to teach sexuality to our children. Just speak to us, talk to us.
Well, my daughter is among the high functioning in functional living skills. Maybe it was out of ignorance or because I didn't know that she was autistic. We had our own way of doing things in the house when she was tender and young. So I built a very strong base of functional living skills. I thank God my sister is a physiotherapist. So she insisted on occupational therapy, even though we didn't know what was happening in her earlier years. Getting to know that she was autistic, it was not until she was 9.5, but we knew she had a disability. We could see something was off. But in the midst of all that, every time we went shopping, she loved pushing the cart along. And so we would pick stuff. And I thought it would be a good way for me to introduce sexuality to her, because that is something that always worries you and concerns you. She was sexually molested when she was 9 years old. So that took me aback, and I had to regroup and stop being an absentee parent, and to understand her way of life and even what happens when she goes to school. So at that tender age, I decided to take charge. I took care of her sexuality through teaching her what I go through as a mother. Every month, we kept a calendar. She didn't understand what the calendar was, but we kept a calendar. She knew the days of the month. Not that she can keep one for herself, but the fact that we were trying to do this long before she got to the menses stage, so that by the time she got to see the red on her panty, it wasn't such a shock, as she knew she could try and relate to it, and I would convince and keep telling her that mommy goes through the same thing and this is what happens. So with time, she learned, but the meltdowns increased tremendously. Of course, we say it's PMS, but I guess every woman has their meltdowns, because being in mood swings is not something that's really very normal. So the meltdowns were worse then, and through observation, I got to understand that the meltdowns were just a day or two before her menses began. So we started now keeping her pads. She knows, she could understand the different serviettes. We have serviettes, we have tampons, we have pads, we have tissue paper, we have the kitchen towels. She could pick them from the supermarket, so that if she ever needed them, she knew what to do and where to go. Also being an advocate and being somebody who has been working in the spaces of special needs coaching, I went out of my way to teach her how to get known in the community, which is very, very important, so that when she's out there, everybody knows she's my daughter. Just like geofencing, what we normally call nowadays geofencing, that I know where she is and where she's at. So she would go maybe to the nearest supermarket, and I had introduced her. So she would pick something from the supermarket and they would call me. remember the guys, everybody in the community, if you encourage them to know a little bit about your child and what you are going through and the suffering that you go through, people are empathetic. Kenyans are known to be kind. So she has never been lost, but unfortunately, the molestation happens at home. And it is somebody who is close to her and somebody who knows her, so that she can allow somebody to be that close. And that, I think, if you ask me about my transition, that was my wake-up call. That was when I realized that this girl is mine, and I don't think she's leaving home. Everybody gets to that light bulb moment that the other children will leave home, but this one will not. She's my responsibility. And it doesn't matter what happens, but whether I go or I stay, she's has to be somewhere near me. So with that now and the training, the meltdowns, I started dieting her, giving her things that were less sugary, and teaching her how to control her body weight. I keep saying she manages her weight better than I do anyway. She's quite good at managing weight. She eats 1 meal a day. That's her own way of doing things. She loves tea. She loves sugar. The things that the doctor had said she should not eat because she had an allergy of eggs. She had an allergy of protein. But when we changed doctors, they said that we should insist from a tender age that she eats it, that the body will get to regulate itself. Because of course, eggs is one of the cheapest proteins that we have around. So with time now, she's been able to manage her menses very well. Meltdowns, unless you poke and pry, that is when she will react. But she's really learned also along the way that she's more safe when I'm home and when she's grandma and her brother. But when we have visitors, she tends to keep quiet, won't talk much. And she hates the fact that maybe when you come in the house, you don't acknowledge her. So we tell everybody to say hello when you come in. And then making your home open to her more than to strangers, I have realized has brought a turnaround in how she welcomes people. So when they come home, she's the one who's at her place. So you are the guest, she's home. So this is her space. So we live by her rules. So if she is uncomfortable, we'll let you know that this is Ngendo. Today she's not at her best. And if she does something, you have to accommodate. Just making sure that she feels that she's accommodated at home. She's welcomed. I keep saying that belonging begins with me. If I want her to feel like she belongs, it begins with me. It begins with how I take care of her and how I show her that she matters in my life. Remember, I have 2 children. So one would also feel like they are left out. If I spend too much time on this one and I have to take care of the other one as well, and they demand the same attention. So making sure that the 2 of them feel they belong in the home and each takes charge of the other. And they know that they have to protect each other. And now seeing that she's in her early, adulthood and taking care of herself, and her brother is growing up as well. Someone has to take the responsibility because I don't think I'll be here forever. So among the many things I have learned in the transition is making sure that your child is comfortable at home. For me, that is the biggest take home that I have learned. That the child feels like when they come home, whether it's the meltdown, whether it's because it's the safe space, let them feel that they're home and the safe space belongs to them. And then number 2, introducing sexuality in a kinder way, not the way the world brings it to pass, but in a way that your child, you understand the language of your child. And so speaking to them, I do the same with my son as well. I make sure that he's as comfortable as he could be with me, that he can come and share a joke. It may be out of context for me, and from what I've been doing in the office work, it's so different, but you come say something and I'm left, of course, trying to figure out where did that come from. But it's because I want them not to learn something from the world, but let them learn it from me. Let them feel comfortable enough that when they sit around me, that we have a conversation, or we have no conversation with Ngendo anyway, but because we are in the same room, we are enjoying each other's company, that she doesn't feel like she's a burden to me. She can come to me at any point in time, and she can appreciate the fact that maybe I've come home tired, so she can give me a cup of tea. That's what I can say.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that. And Pole sana for what your daughter went through. Yeah, I already see a hands up. We getting to that, Mr. Jordan. Maybe to Mr. Kelabi, how have you taught sexuality, or how are you teaching it? And while you're also at it, how do you introduce boundaries to your child or to your children?
Yeah, Carol, this is a delicate but very essential topic, sexuality. Because for many of our children, sexuality or other sexual education is often ignored or delayed. But you know what? They too have desires. They are curious and they are emotional beings. So they have emotions just like their peers and just like me and you. Introducing sexuality to these children is not something that you will do it like any other, so to speak. Why? Because most of these children, it's not easy to touch them. I have known of some whom you can't even go and touch their hand like this, and they will. I think the sensitivity of the skin and getting across or over that could mean much more. Number two, there is also the other danger of how do you introduce this to them. Why? Because by the virtue that I'm in this space, allow me to share the experience that I've had from other parents who are in the same and probably who are going through and over things that they cannot comprehend. Let me speak about boys. Is this a safe space for me to say this?
Yes, it's a safe space. Mm.
Irene, is it okay? Where is Irene?
Yes, it
She's
is.
gone.
And remember, I've come, Martin, remember my sexuality case has begun because she has been molested. So don't copy my. We
I
are
won't go
coming
there,
from
Irene.
training sexuality because molestation has taken place.
No, why I called you is because, and the others who are here, I'm about to bring something very a bit controversial, because our children are just growing like any other, and they have desires, like I said. And I've been asked by parents to address this, to give them advices. As they grow and get to that place where they have sexual desires, how do they overcome it? Irene, I'm about to begin to ask you questions. How do they overcome it? If you're raising a son, in the morning you might have some evidence. How do you cross over that? I've had meetings with parents who openly tell me that it's getting crazy in the house, especially when they have female visitors, because some of these youth may not comprehend. They don't know what is happening in their body. Okay, they're not even aware, but they can feel, and that throws everybody in the family at a very funny place. How do you address that? How do you address that? That's a question.
I think
because
to
you won't
answer
ignore
you,
it.
yeah,
You won't
no,
ignore it. You won't ignore it because it's happening. We don't want to introduce our children the way they are to sex per se, because again, it looks like it's a way of exposing them to dangers. There's HIV. There's something called heartbreak. Have you gone through a heartbreak, Irene? It's very
with
painful.
my daughter. No.
No, heartbreak.
Yes. Yeah.
Heartbreak,
yes.
which comes with relationships of opposite sex. So when people, is it called copulate or something? They get attached to one another. So when one cheats the other, there's something called heartbreak that hurts so deep. We don't want to ignore that fact and introduce this youth to that. And then there's a possibility of a heartbreak. We don't know how they will take it, because it brings somebody as regular as you are down. So it's a very tricky place. And again, you won't assume that it's not happening. You cannot assume. It's a very tricky place. And I interacted with people on the same subject within the country and out of the country, because none of us here is a professional. We are learning on the job. And the other side of the world, they're telling me they introduce them to something they call safe space. Okay? And they introduce them. Don't begin to throw stones. They introduce them to... It's not happening here, it's happening elsewhere. But we may be forced to borrow a leaf. So they have agreed as nations to introduce them to self-love. And they train them and they offer them the gadgets, and they tell them, if this urge comes, this is how you do it. You go to your room, you go to the bathroom, you finish what you're doing, and then you walk back. I'm going to ask you a question. Is that the way that we want to go? Or do we give a blind eye? Or do we take the bigger risk and introduce them to sex? Which way, Irene? And the other people who are here, it's not Irene again. Let's interact on that.
I have had, let me speak. I have heard what you're saying in various places, but having run a boys' school, an intellectually challenged school, GDD, of course, those are the challenges that you face with boys, especially in the morning. And for any employee who is a lady, has to either have a muiko or something to scare them away, because when the urge comes, it comes and it doesn't go. And it either has to be relieved in one way or the other. Yes. So we devised a way as a school, we only take 10 boys or 10 whatever, so that we can train them on a one-on-one. This is a vigorous pre-vocational training that we used to give. And actually now the introduction to life per se. So we would get the boys up very early, stir them with a waking up call, 5 o'clock, wazunguke compound, go for a jog. That gets the energy. Instead of going downstairs, it comes back upstairs because they have to run. It's not funny. Then after that, you make sure that they hit the bathroom on a cold shower. That would work. But for those ones who are now severely autistic, what you're talking about is something that actually happens even in schools. And remember, in the early 1800s and in the late 1800s and turning into the 1900s, as we were rolling into 1900, 1910, most people did not understand sexuality, especially for women. So the women used to get into full moods and all that, and the doctor would end up relieving them from their sexual stress. So now what you're talking about is is a reversed role on now how we should treat our male children. They are not understanding what is happening to their body. We don't want to introduce them early enough for sexuality and even for having girlfriends, because they still don't even know who they actually are. And anyway, I hear most boys have their first sexual encounter with the house help. So that one is also something that we all know as parents. So we really have to know how our boys been handled by the house helps. So we need to introduce either a safe space. If it gets too much, the child is nonverbal, the child cannot communicate, all he needs, all you can see is the physical sign and what he feels like he should do to relieve himself. So maybe a safe space would be the best thing to do for that young man. And then teaching him privacy is also very important. Privacy is important because you can go into a supermarket and the urge comes and hey, he's been used to doing it where you are, so it happens. So we need to teach them privacy. We need to teach them who they are and what's happening to them and why they are doing what they are being told to do, especially in the morning. And actually that one did work for the boys in my center, apart from one whom now he was purely autistic, and boy, he used to chase any woman or anybody in a skirt. So we had to give him the space to be able to, do his thing, and then he would become again. But remember, it has happened before with women. So it's not the first time that it's happening. And history actually teaches us on how to handle different cases and different ways. So that's my take. Anybody else with something to say? Maybe Paul can tell us how he handled it.
Before you go, Caroline, allow me to hijack this conversation a bit. I know you're the moderator, but allow me. I want to shoot a straight one to my sister, Irene. Irene, I love what you said, especially on the safe space. Irene, how do we merge that with our religions? Because I think the religion spaces that we belong to, most likely they'll come out and say no.
Yeah.
So how do we marry this? How do we begin to engage the religious bodies about this, the way we see it as parents? Because I'm sure I've tried a bit, Irene, and they're very categorical. They're saying, no, that's a sin.
Well, the sin part, we will deal with it when we get to church. But when push comes to shove, my dear, you don't have time to start thinking of the church. You want to be safe for yourself and for the sake of the women in your house. Yes. Or what would you think? And remember, Martin and the whole team, the education system is dictated upon by the community and by the societies that are surrounding us, isn't it? So yes. We have been pushed to a point where we all, as parents in this group, have understood that no to us is never the last answer. We go deeper to find a solution for what we feel like is ailing us in our space where we are at the moment. So if we've been fighting for quality education, then the church also needs to understand. Like if I have a son, like Ricky, he was called Ricky. Ricky was nonverbal, very violent. He was on even medication for aggression. And his father was a single parent. The mother had passed on and they had an elder brother. So Ricky stayed with the grandmother. And that was the only reason that made me pick him for the school. But how am I supposed to tell the church that Ricky cannot even comprehend his own self? But God created the urge to continue. God didn't put the urge out, whether Ricky has a problem or not. So yes. It is for us to tell the church it is sin or right. And I agree because I'm a Christian. But tell me, Mr. Pastor, how am I supposed to handle this when it happens in my house? And remember, I have a daughter in this home. You
Yes.
have Sarah, isn't it? So what
Yes.
are you going to tell your son that he might think to practice it on his sister? So it's about time we started getting out there and speaking about the sexuality of our children. The same way they have been denying our children education, and the same way they've been denying them quality health because they can't speak for themselves. I have to speak on their behalf. Remember, Martin, I cannot get my daughter,
Yes.
family planning because she
Yes,
has
you
to
can.
have the faculties to accept that she's the one who's chosen to come and get it. So when you bring
Absolutely.
now the whole space here, I am battling
Absolutely.
with sexuality and you don't want me to give her family planning. So how am I supposed to handle my life as a parent?
Wow.
As you add on that, let me add on this and say that currently, for those who are a bit surprised that we are saying what we are saying, currently I'm handling a few cases of boys, and one of them I just discovered the other day is gay, seriously autistic. And when I engaged to find out how it happened from school, from a boarding school that he was going to. And this was because of the urges that many want to pretend they're not there, and I don't know, it's shame or what. So somebody else took advantage. Okay. And the young man grew up knowing like that until recently, because he's an adult now, and he's being gay, and he's being misused, if I may go there, because really he doesn't understand. But because he was invited into sex through that side, he believes that is the way it's supposed to be. So he's kind of addicted and knowing that, oh yeah, this is how we do it. So he is a female at all times. Okay. You see, now we are trying to reverse that. Okay. We are trying to reverse that. We are working with him. And by the grace of God, is beginning to unwind that, because the thing was put in his mind is wrong. And he's been enjoying it apparently. Okay. So as we discuss with him, sometimes he sleeps and I ask him, so and so, do you think if now you got you got an opportunity to do it, would you do it?
Mr. Martin, can you listen to me?
Yes.
There's a lot of questions that they're speaking about on confusion on where the topic is leading to.
Okay.
I feel like we are dividing a lot.
Sorry.
We are diverting a lot. And also remember, we are not only speaking to a Christian audience, we're speaking to all types of audiences here.
All right, Irene, let's go back to the topic.
Yes, thank you very much.
We'll have our own meeting. And we'll talk.
Okay. Before we go. Thank you for the insight.
Caroline, bring us back together.
Yeah, why I was quiet is because there are questions coming up and I hear them, and I think we from about 8:45 we'll be taking all the questions. Sexuality is a topic that is really, really very real, and it's really happening in many families. But I think from 8:45, we will answer the questions. I think we'll have to probably along the way do a session just addressing this, so that we can be able to to know the way forward on many things. So thanks for all the inputs. Let's first put a pause to that. I know the questions that have been raised will be tackled. They are very sensitive and hard topics that we are living with or will live with. So it's whether we get all the answers today or not, it is good that even as a caregiver, it's a food for thought. What do you do for those of us with younger children on the spectrum when you get there? How do you handle it, and so forth? So some of these conversations, I wish there are things you'd say, we'd say they are not happening, but it is real. It is real. Yeah, and let's first put a pause on that so that we address something, but we are coming to answer the questions. So the topic here was, there's somebody who raised an issue of where is this headed? Yeah, I think still to stimulate our thinking as caregivers on what we need to do or to prepare ourselves for, or what is happening, and to our children with autism moving forward. Just to maybe to start wrapping up a bit because of the times that we take all the questions. Let's talk about looking ahead. When you think about the future, what are you planning? And even as you do that, maybe there's a caregiver asking, do therapies stop, or are they a lifelong? So I'll give each of us an opportunity to just tell us, do therapies stop, or are they a lifelong? And then two, as a caregiver, how are you planning for the future for your child? And then to Paul, what does that look like for you in terms of, or what would you advise a parent in terms of planning for the future, like the adulthood of their child? What would you tell them to look into? So let's start, Paul, let's start with you, then we go to.
Yeah. First of all, on therapy do not stop. Um, I have been to therapies for a long time. This is actually my 10th year in therapy. So, hooray. Therapy is somewhere. I've heard Mr. Martin speaking about safe space. Therapy is a safe space because um you find therapies. Okay, I'm going to speak on my own perspective, then I'm going to speak in the perspective of since I'm in this space where I deal with persons with disability, especially persons with neurodevelopmental, intellectual, and psychosocial. Um, First of all, let me just answer. There are questions which are here that have been on my mind. Allow me to answer them. Or I'll just answer them during in the Q&A. I'll do that. I've written them down. So, therapy is said to be a safe space. It's said to be a place where you're not judged. If you find a good therapist, is where you are not judged. And also, that's why you find most adults with autism and other neurodevelopmental um, disabilities and psychosocial and intellectual, um, they tend to go for therapies to have um, to speak about it. And they speak, it's where they don't hide much and they do not mask. So that is one question I'm going to say about therapies. The second thing, this is a quote I kept all for myself. I invented it myself. Hi, Sarah. So this is a quote that I will escape for myself. Instead of having the neurodivergent fit in the neurotypical world, why don't we let the neurotypical people accept the neurodivergent for who they are? And who are the neurotypicals? The caregivers are one of the neurotypicals because they're not within the spectrum. So you find most caregivers will try to make the neurodivergent fit in. And you think you're helping the child, but in short, the child is good. And I've seen lots of autistic young adults. We are in a safe space, group, and most of them speak about them ignoring their parents, them not even daring to speak to their parents because their parents have views and opinions on how they want to put into it. There's this system called ABA, which I'm always against it. It's because it's the perfect, I always find it as a perfect way to make your child mask. So, just allow me 1 minute. I want to, yeah, thank you very much. That's it better. So you find most of them wanting to mask, most of the caregivers taking their children through the ABA system and teaching them on making them mask in. And when they realize they can't mask anymore, they tend to run away from their parents. And that's why we have most cases of runaway teenagers during who have psychosocial and intellectual disabilities. That's why we have many teenagers having issues because you find parents are training them to be in this way, yet they don't want to listen to the kids. So what I can say is listen to your kids' aspirations, and listen to your kids' needs, and see on a way you can make sure your kid knows you, and look into the kid can tell you the truth. Because sometimes you find most autistic people will be lying to your kids, to their parents. Autistic young adults will be lying to their parents, will be lying to this because they feel like their parents have kept them in this cocoon where they cannot do anything. So that the rest of the question, especially I would like to speak about intersectionality. I think I'll answer it mostly in the Q&A question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. We need to listen. Wow. Okay. Let's go to Mr. Kilavi, then Isabella and Irene, just as you appear on my screen. How are you preparing for the future? Mr. Kilavi, go first.
Carol, please, I had to attend to Sarah a bit. Please come back with a question.
How are you preparing for the future?
How I'm preparing for the future?
Yeah, on the journey that you're on for the children, and even ahead for the family. How is that looking for you?
Yeah, I have purposed to not make it any different. I have purposed that I will support Joshua and Sarah to live a full life, thriving life for that matter. I do not want them to live different from the regular persons. So we are going from one phase to the other. Now that they are young adults, and especially Joshua, I'm thinking of how to help him if he is willing, and we've started that discussion with him. In fact, he's coming home tomorrow morning so that we continue the discussion. Is he interested in having a family? That's a question. If he tells me that he desires and he wants to, then obviously, because of the conditions that are prevailing, then I will need to step out as a father, as a parent, and do what I have to do. And perhaps if it means scouting, or I don't know which other word to use, then get for him a wife, if he desires to have a family, that is. And like I said, that is the discussion that we are currently having in this home with him. So I support him. As a parent, from where I sit and looking at his abilities, perhaps he may need me to come in as a parent. If by God's grace, he manages, he's blessed with children, and also help him raise his children as I raise my grandchildren. By so doing, one, and that's my desire that he will want to have. One, it is very obvious that we are not going to live here forever. One day we'll exit, you know. And currently, as a parent, and I'm speaking on behalf of the caregivers who are here and who are not here, our first worry in the morning when we wake up is when we see our children. We ask ourselves, what will happen to them when we are not there? Okay. And this is something that can also go to address the same question, because if we come in together with our children and support them get families, and we help bring up the families, then when we exit, their children, their families will be able to take care of them, not basically taking care of them, but also giving them support, because as you age, you begin to get lonely. You know, that's where some of us are headed to. You begin to get lonely. So you need that person who is there with you, you can speak to, you can socialize, you can do things together. That's one way I'm looking at it. And the same conversation I will pick up maybe 4 or 5 years to come with Sarah. If she's also interested, I will not stop it. I will support as a parent to see them live a full life, successful life as they desire. And yeah, if it's a job, get a job. If it's school, we are doing that. Currently, we're in school. Get a job and get a family and live just like any other person. That's what I'm seeing. And that can happen. That can happen when we all come to a consensus. We come and sit down with our children and communicate with them, because as parents, we know the best way to communicate with our children, communicate with them and get to understand, what do they desire? What do they want for themselves? We don't want also to push, because it can also work on opposite. If we push them to get married, and perhaps they didn't want, if we push them to have children, and maybe that is not what they desire to have. So as parents, we need to balance and engage our children, get to understand what do they want, and support them to do the same. And I think that will be more rewarding to us as caregivers, as parents, when we see them, when we see our children who are able to succeed in life, in different spheres of life. And that's what I have to say. Caroline, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe to probably put the question a little bit more, as we plan for the future, for instance, what are we, thank you, Mr. Kilavi, for that, giving them the chance to, from what I pick amongst the things you've said, to, choose their path. But then there are those who are not able to tell us what they want, probably, even for that. So as we plan for the future as parents, let's say if it is financially, what are some of the ideas that we can probably think of to secure that future for them? For instance, is it in skills? Is it probably in having a trust somewhere, that kind of, securing them in that way also? Yeah.
I'll take that very quickly and say this. And thank you for putting me back to answering that. I feel that everyone is productive in their own way. Everybody. In regards to severity of their disabilities, they're still productive. How? Because look at what the government has done. Let's go back and see what measures the government has put to support the same. The government has allowed our children, this time let me call them youth with disabilities, they can register companies. And we as a parents, we're going to be the proxies, okay? We can begin through ACVO. What is AGPO? We can begin to involve their companies for tendering. Then you come and, that's my feeling, then we come and begin to create wealth for them. Okay, we are proxies. They are on the face, they are their fronts. We begin to introduce them to business. Of course, sisi ndio tunafanya the biasharas because some of them may not take decisions. But we dedicate to do that for them. And we get disciplined as much as possible. That whatever proceedings that will get out of that tender, we put it in their accounts. Okay? We can step ahead and also constitute, because I've also learned something. Caroline, how many are you, for instance, in your family? How many are you? Are you 5 or you are 3 or you are 2?
My immediate family, we're 5.
You're 5.
Yes.
Look, when you begin to get your own lives, when you begin to work, you tend now to go different ways, the 5 of you. So in as much as you are calling one another and speaking to one another on a daily basis, you find yourselves now you're skipping 2 days before you talk to your sister or brother, right? That's a reality. And the same thing will happen to a family that is blessed with a child with disabilities. A time will come, and most likely the siblings will go their own way. So what will happen to this one, right? So it's a call for the parents. Let's begin now to create wealth for them. It's a security for them. Through these avenues that the government is beginning to open, like tendering and all this, we can even begin to bring 2 or 3 and make companies for them, register companies for them, and we begin to pursue these opportunities that are coming up and begin to save money for them. After that, there's somebody who talked about, there's somebody who said, what did you call it? A trust. Then we can grow this to a trust where you can put people who will manage the welfare of this child with disabilities at a later stage. That's my take on that. The parent needs to go an extra mile and begin to think in those terms. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Isabella, what is your take?
My take is I always feel or ask myself, what will happen when I'm not there and my son is there? So I have started preparing him. Now I know his area and his interest. I'm planning that I start, by the time he reaches 18 years, I get an ID for him. Then I start an income generating activity. And my plan is that because he can do very well in hospitality industry, like we are in Mombasa, I can build the houses, then they can be cottages, so that we come together with the other parents. We are a good number. We can have those cottages because his area, he likes cleanliness and spreading the bed. He can be trained to work on that. And we have what we call home decor. He can be trained to work on that. Another one, he has his own strength. He can maybe be employed to work in the kitchen. So as we continue like that, we partner with other parents, then we can have a community for these children. This community, we construct or we make for them the income generating activities where they will fully participate. As they are participating, they are socializing, at the same time, they are making money. So when we are not there and God has given them life, they will have money at least. You know, even if we think of them getting married without money or without any income generating activity is a challenge. So that is my plan. I have already started planning to make sure that we have those houses in place, and we partner, we make sure that these children work in them. The issue of getting married, it will come later, but not now. That is my take.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Irene? Please unmute.
Mute. Getting married is a no. I think I have taken too much of my time and my investment in bringing up my daughter, and I am very selfish. Martin, forgive me for that. I am very, very selfish. I want my life without a grandchild from my daughter. Because one, I know her very well. Her daughter will be my child. And I will clean, bathe, cook, and she will be least interested. Reason why I say this is because she has been a very gifted child over the years. But she turned into her 25th year. She has changed focus. And I don't know if she got married, she would change focus after a few more years to come. As for getting her wealth, and I registered my organization with her as a non-executive member of the board, which means that out of everything that we do, she gets a token out of that. I am also living in a home in my own compound where I am at is actually her house as if anything happens to me. So I'm preparing for her future that as long as one has a roof over their head, I guess you are sorted in one way or the other. And then the brother knows, and that is something we have always spoken about in the house. And one of the cousins who has a soft spot, they will take care of her, taking her for shopping. She can do her cooking, she can do everything for herself. All she really needs is somebody to come in as a supervisor or a caregiver to make sure that she's fed, she's bathed, and she has put off every gadget that she has been using in the right way. So for the preparation, considering that she's now in her 30s and that she's, I'm looking at her, I have gone for ratios for children of my friends who have children younger than her. Most of the people that I know are grandparents because their children have given birth to 2, even 3, some even 4. And I'm still here waiting to be called a grandchild, to be called grandma. So I know some things will not happen, and I am not expecting them to happen. And then because of the sexual molestation earlier, she's really very cautious around men. She doesn't want anything to do with them. So unless she shows an interest, maybe later in life, then we can think of it. And I would prefer she chose somebody and whom we, or me, with the brother, because we end up being the caregivers at the end of it all, we would take care of the child if the man decides to disappear. So there are so many options that you keep weighing that even before you make a decision, the decision has to be safe for one, the child, then yourself, then the other members of the family, then the community at large. You make a decision for almost about the whole community just because of one person. So anything I do, and I told you my life has been intentional, especially after the molestation, it has been really intentional in making sure that I have her best interests at heart. So I have noticed of late when she goes to my Facebook pages and WhatsApp, she checks the 2 photos of the young men. So I'm thinking maybe she's, moving in that direction. But if she does, well and good. But because of the responsibilities that come on board, that is something that I would really, really have to consider on a very serious note. I don't want to deny her rights, but also I would hate to bear a burden until I don't want to do CBC. Let's just put it that way. In my selfish nature, when Irene is selfish, I don't want to do CBC. We have done and gone through so many milestones, and this is another one that now looks like would be coming. And remember, she already has her own home. That is something that is settled. And she already has her own stay. She can make money and she can do what she can do. So that we'll get to that bridge when we get to that bridge, Carl. It's not something that you wake up, as Martin is saying, they are still having the discussion. We haven't started our discussions yet, and we won't be starting
Okay.
anytime soon.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now it's 9 p.m. and I see there are questions. Would you please, panelists and also our participants, those starting with the panelists, will you indulge us? We pick the questions, then we give a closing remark. Is it okay?
Yeah, I noticed.
Can we hear someone from the audience just ask a question kindly? Because I've
Sorry?
been seeing some hands. Someone from the audience to ask a question.
Yes. You're all okay with picking questions? That's where I'm starting from so that we go ahead.
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right. Mr. Kilabi?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So, Paul, you said you'd answer some questions. Let's start with you. Please answer those that you have.
Okay. I'm going to speak mostly in the legal point of view that I'm always at. And that, first of all, uh, I'm going to apologize to most people here if they find my answer as offensive, but I'll speak in a legal perspective. So we have the Persons with Disability Act 2025. And with the Person with Disability Act 2025, it's mostly there's a part where we'll be doing a sensitization. It's on offenses. And basically, from the questions that have been seen here, I'm like, might be an offense, and someone might be caught and been in prison for 2, 3, or 1 year. So it's all about, let me just put my camera on. It's all about that. But allow me to simplify it in a simple way. I've seen a question on puberty, and I'm going to use my experience, and I'm going to use the experience that I see. When it comes to puberty, I always tell sometimes you'll find most children, most autistic persons, when they get to the elder stage, when they stop being teenagers and they start being adults, you'll find most of them can't stay in the can't adapt to the world, in which I know that they cannot operate, because you find most of the caregivers are still infantilizing them, and you find they are afraid to notice that their child is growing up, because puberty is just like any normal. Every person goes through puberty. And what does puberty teach you? Puberty is just a stage from childhood to adulthood. That's what we always used to say in primary and high school. So this is how there'll be things your child will be going through. You know that this now my child is ready to become is going to be able to become an adult. Have I trained him to become the adult he is? Those reactions, yes, see now in teenager, it won't stop only in teenagehood. It will stop it. It will continue up to adulthood. So you find, and actually in fightization right now, it's our offense. as per the Persons with Disability Act, and it's liable up to 2 years in jail or a fine of 2 million Kenyan shillings. That's one thing. If you're found to like hug a child, that is, I mean, an adult, not. So it's all about just letting your child know, just like the way now the thing parents with autistic children don't know how to is the language. The way you will speak to a neurotypical on the way you will speak to neurotypicals on puberty is not the same way you'll speak to an autistic child. But all in all, do they deserve to know what will happen to their bodies? Yes, because it's also happening to them. Do they deserve to know on how you're going to speak to know this is this, this is that? Yes, they do deserve. It's just like the way you say. And most parents are afraid of starting that conversation because most parents lack the communication on how to communicate to their child. And that's and now I hope I'll leave a parting shot. I can leave my question, I'll leave my number. So for whoever wants to speak to me. So just like the way Esther Kwanya said, yes, I totally agree. You have to speak about yours to your child. It's just that communication. So you as an autistic parent to speak to your child. And if you know how to speak to your child, this conversation won't be hard for you. And if it's hard for you, I need you to simplify the question, not from how will I tell my child on this? I need you to ask yourself, am I speaking to my child very well? Am I communicating with my child? Is my child communicating with me? That is the question you need to ask yourself. So that when you get the answer to that and see on the best way you can communicate with the child, this topic on sexuality is as smooth as possible. This topic on marriage, because you see, there's a UNCRPD which speaks about marriage. Children have the persons with disability, that is including persons with autism, having the right to live independently, having the right to inform of their own decision. That is Article 12. And if you happen to continue making the decision for your child, even as they grow to adulthood, just because of the communication and feeling like this.
I think we've lost Paul.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying I'm going to leave my number with you. So, but my parting shot is all about communication. If you know how to communicate with a child, these questions right now that I'm seeing in the chat box, it's going to be as simple as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. We do appreciate that. I can see there are 2 hands raised. So let me start, allow me to start with the, okay, Sheila Thriving Thoughts. Please go ahead. Unmute.
My name is Nigel.
Sorry, Nigel.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
So the autistic boy was 9 years old.
Sorry?
The autistic, another boy, what was a small child, it was a 9 years old.
Okay.
Or like like uh, I was in university neurodivergency last year, but one. Hello?
Yes, yes. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes. So me and my friends like Nicholas Yurungu, Martin Hinga, and Emmanuel Jahu, and Jesse Kibichu. That is my friends was Strathmore University for autism unit.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Nigel.
Yes, welcome.
Okay, thank you for that. Sheila, please go ahead. Then Jordan.
Hi, everybody. You can hear me, Carol?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much for such a timely conversation for most of us. Beyond running thriving thoughts, of course, I have a preteen, and this is a very a conversation that is very alive to me at this point, particularly when it comes to planning. And it's been very nice listening to the speakers, and especially um to our young lawyer, because then we are always told, listen to autistic people. And the issue he brings around about infantilization is really very important, in the sense that if we treat uh, our children, I mean, our young adults or adults as children, as though they are children, studies have shown that, they overwhelmingly feel disrespected. That lack of autonomy is really not good when it comes to any child, I mean, any young adult. But now, when it also comes to our own, we might find that we are putting them in a space where they also probably even go into depression, because for a long time we're treating them, and I've had such comments during this conversation, in the sense that we are treating them as children. I think we also need to become alive with the fact that we also need to transition as parents accordingly as we move along, so that we're also giving them the autonomy that they deserve, both because of their rights and also just because it also just comes with growth, that it helps them feel respected as they are moving along. So now to my question, and I think it's probably an observation as I've been looking for supports for my now preteen, is that I've noticed that as autistic children grow, there seems to be fewer supports compared to what's available for the younger kids. So I'm keen to learn, rather to hear from both their caregivers, and also I missed some point I fell off uh, when our young lawyer was speaking, because then probably he spoke about where he gets his therapy and those kinds of support that are actually age appropriate. But I've just noticed that um, uh, 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 rather, I'm keen to learn how to sustain or adapt support during the teenage years, when their needs are evolving, but they do not disappear. They're evolving, they're growing, but the needs do not disappear. But I'm just seeing as if society is blind to this category. There's so much emphasis on the young kids, so much options available, so many interventions for the young kids. But what is out there in terms of age appropriate adaptive therapy and other interventions for our young adults and our teenagers? And also, secondly, also is to ask the caregivers, particularly, and maybe also Paul, what kind of mindset shifts should we make, yeah, as parents, to support our teenagers through the hormonal, emotional, and probably sensory changes of teenagehood? And how do you ensure that the right supports are in place, especially when there's this very rising pressure for them to mask at this stage? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I'm opening the floor. Who will go first? Okay, and then let me pick Mr. Kilavi. Let me start with you about the support. Mr. Kilavi? All right. Isabella?
Yes.
What is your take on the questions? And then on the questions raised.
Sexus was finished to 7:00 p.m. to 9.
Yes, yes. With indulgence from all of us, we are picking questions.
Okay.
Yes, please. Do you have a comment on that, Isabella?
There have been very many questions, so I'm thinking which one particular, maybe if you can.
Okay, the first one is on what support is there now for the teenagers, as you know, for the teenagers, what is currently available, and also the mindset. I think that was addressed to Paul, that we should now have as caregivers.
I can respond on the support out of experience. The support, you will hear the government saying there is the support for people with disability. Now the teenagers are transiting. And when they talk about the support for people with disability, we realize that most of our children, especially those who are on the spectrum, are left out. So the support that I can advise is for the parent, because you are the parent, the caregiver who has the information about your child. Try to find out from home what this child needs. Assess the child, the needs of the child, and then we are supposed to advocate for the services, even from the government and the support. Because always they say the support is there, but you cannot get it if you don't go for it. So my advice is that we as the caregivers, let us assess our children, and then we move together to go to the government. We demand for the support for our children. That is what I understand.
Okay, thank you for that. Irene, about the mindset, and Paul, as we pick the next one, we are about to wind up now.
The mindset, I would say it's inclusion in everything that you do. I say belonging begins at home. So the inclusion begins also when you start having these conversations and realizing that as the others are growing up, your child with disabilities is growing up. So once they start, I realized, for example, that when my daughter changed from a full dress to a skirt and blouse, but she's changed, her body has changed and she's grown up now because she's wearing a high school uniform in my mind. So it's that mindset that you see that they are growing up and you change the tone. And then as they grow older, I think even when you look back in your life, you can remember that your parents used to beat you some time back, but then they stopped. Why did they stop? Because they realized that now if we sit down and have a conversation together, we are agreeing with each other to disagree or to agree. So it's the same way that you treat them, and mainly not because of their developmental age, but because of their body age, that you can see now that if you continue doing certain things, you embarrass them. I keep saying my son loves hugging me, but he doesn't like me to hug him because he's embarrassed when I hug him, but he loves coming to hug me. So I let it be that way, not, because that is the space where he wants to put a separation between being mama's boy and being the man that he wants to, or he can see himself becoming. So the identification of adulthood comes slowly creeping in. And then your mindset and allowing him to make decisions, your child to make some small baby step decisions along the way, I think that is what will start changing the mindsets and certain things. But then remember, you have to be a friend to your child, first of all. And it is important that they learn most of the things that are out there in the world from you as a parent, not the other way. Don't let them learn things outside. And answering the questions on sexuality, I think sexuality is best discussed in the home front than out there in school when they're experimenting, or out there in the communities when they're experimenting. It would be an awkward conversation, but I think at the relevant time, as you're making these baby steps, as you're allowing room to grow, and as you detach yourself slowly from the child and giving responsibilities where need be, it is important to have the safe space for conversations. And I think you understand your child well, talking from Isabella's point, and you know that what their strengths are, how much they can accommodate, how much they can soak in, and their cognition and retention values. There's so much that you balance as a parent. So you will know what to do at that particular point in time. Right now, enjoy your child as they grow up and as they turn into who they will become. Don't be judgmental at all. Have room in your mind for error, and also accept the fact that you're also learning as both of you grow and understand one another. I think those are the little success points that I can say I have seen out of, and actually, let me tell you, I quit work at 9 years of age for my daughter. I quit work because I was serious enough. After the whole saga happened, I wanted to know what my child does in school, why I'm given IEPs that I never understood, and all those things that I never knew. I had to relearn them when she was 9. And it is important that you start early so that you get to grow with your child. By the time they're getting into teenagehood, you're already friends. So things are not as difficult, even as David said, or Paul said. Yeah, that's my tip.
Thank you for that. Unless there's any other, I'd like to bring in Jordan. Jordan,
good evening, everyone.
evening.
Allow me to, first of all, thank you for this. I know we had little time, and yet we have so many things to exhaust. Maybe next time we can redo it, but focus on a different area, for instance, the sexual part. Something small. Personally, I am one of the sexuality educators for people with special needs, and specifically children with autism. And I was really, because of time, I really wanted to highlight certain things which I have been observing. I always train parents, and I always at least support where I can in terms of this topic. It's a very sensitive topic. And as you know, being parents, we all have this feeling that we don't want to talk about it. Even to children who are not developmental disorders, children without developmental disabilities. It is already hard to talk about it to them. Now imagine you are talking to a child with autism. So it's it's one of the areas where I would feel like we should get time, and then we help one another so that we can support in making sure that we are making the right decisions, but also factoring in the children to also be part of the decision we are making for them. I also want to make a little bit of correction. I join when someone was talking about one of the practices they are using. They're letting their children, they live by the rule of their children in the house. If that child is in spectrum, then there's high chance of having less time to correct this child or support this child the way you want the child to be. Keep in mind that these children are very intelligent and they study environment and they see, they know you. So giving them the 100% and making them to be the decision makers in the home, it becomes very challenging. So that in case you want to maybe say, for instance, reinforce them to do a given routine, I know it is very hard, but it's something that we have to get time and we discuss further, because in most cases, you want this child to live 30 years and be very independent. In an event where you are not in the picture, how is this child going to be? So that discussion is also very important. And maybe to answer a question, this last question which came in, why is attention not given to children who are, let's say, in the adolescent or adulthood? You notice the training and the interventions is usually concentrated within the period where the child is developing. And if well executed, this child, when he reaches 25 years, should be very independent and at least hands-on in terms of these ones who are high functioning. So now the challenge is we don't have the system which support the children with the necessary interventions. So now this child has been doing certain things the wrong way without correction because we have that fear of hurting them. At the end of the day, this child grows up 30 years and doing certain things which could have been corrected when the child was still growing or developing. Moving forward, I would suggest, as you are asking for a solution, learning to accept. And by accepting, allowing us to say, my child is having this spectrum, there's nothing I can do about it, but the best to do is to train this child with the basic skills. And I would like to suggest to all the caretakers and caregivers the basic skills that we can actually teach these children. And by that, I would request that can we organize another session and then we explore more ideas and areas. And finally, I want to invite you to Echo Autism Anderson. There's this program that allows caregivers and parents to present cases about their children, and then we have specialists who provide free services to them. It's called Echo Autism. You can Google. It is hosted by Anderson Center for Autism. I would wish that you take it up and we can find out. Those who are interested, you can reach out to me. I am also on that WhatsApp group. I'm going to share something briefly there so that members can inbox me and we find out. It's very interesting and we can support one another from that angle. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We definitely will reach out, and thank you for the insights, Echo Autism. Thank you. I think we need more of us who know much more so that we can learn one from another. So thank you for that. I see, Doris, you've raised your hand. Please ask your question. Then as you ask, I can see that Pastor Judy had asked a question here. We will also, I think, close with that. Then the rest we can do an email, please.
Carol, can I share something with Jordan?
Okay.
Jordan, my daughter is 30 years old, so we have walked the journey of autism. I'm just correcting him because I think he thought my daughter is young. and I let her run the show. Oh no, I ran my house with a very tight hand and a tight fist, but I'm a loving mother and a caring one. So I know how to bite and okay, let me put it in the biblical way. I can be a lion and a lamb at the same time. And she's already 30 years old, trained in functional skills, a very good chocolatier and a jewelry maker. So don't worry about her house rules. Those are ours in our own home. Okay, Jordan? I hope I've set the record straight.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, that's why
I
I
don't
said I
let
came
her
in.
run the house on my behalf. No. But I let her
Thank
do
you.
what she can. Yes.
Thank you for
Okay.
clarifying. I came in late when I just had that part, so that's why it kept. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you for that. Doris, please ask your question.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Doris. I'm an SNE teacher, interested with learners with autism. I had a question to Mr. Kivuda, if I've got the name correctly, when he was telling us on how to handle learners who converse. So my nephew has been conversing for the past few years. We have been trying to go for hospitals and more medication, but still we did not get anything that we feel like it's helping us. Maybe you can tell me how he did it with his son so that I can give it a try to my nephew.
Hi, can I answer that question?
Oh, okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. I pray that we have our occupational therapist in this conversation. Have you tried taking the child through more of a occupational therapy to know of his sensory and what triggers him and what not?
Now,
Because
what
that
we did,
also helped me.
we were told first we go for
Uh-huh.
assessment. We
Uh-huh.
went for assessment and it was negative autism because we were afraid maybe he can be having autism. Then he was tested negative autism. We started
Mm-hmm.
therapy, went for occupational therapy. They told us
Mm-hmm.
now we should do speech therapy because
Yeah.
he's not able to speak clearly. When he
Yes.
speaks, it's only few words, but when
Mm-hmm.
you're not prompting him, that's when he speaks.
Okay, so I'm going to see there's this situation that I had. It's a case that I
Yes.
got. The son is nonverbal
Mm-hmm.
when we are doing the training, but he would communicate through phone. When it comes to typing and everything, he will communicate very well. And you will just know he wouldn't like communicate like he will write sentencing and everything, but they will come and there's a way they will communicate and they will understand. Have you tried to find the best way to communicate how what its best style of communication is? It
No,
doesn't need to have to
unfortunately,
be
he's just
speech.
3 years old.
Oh,
And he
don't
has
worry.
been conversing since he was 1 year. So we really don't know what is really going on with him because we have
Uh-huh.
tried a lot of medication currently.
Okay, I wish we had an
Eh,
occupational therapist in here, but
Can I
Okay,
ask
if
maybe
some?
Mr. Paul.
Okay.
yes,
Oh, sorry.
I wanted
Sorry.
to come
Can I?
Maybe.
in and bring in Martin, as well as also we can give you a contact of a specialist who deals with children and persons who experience convulsions.
Yes, that would really help. Kindly do. And maybe if Mr. Paul is, it looks like he knows about these things much better. Maybe he can share his number with me, if that's okay with him.
Paul, you're okay with that?
shared it
Thank you.
and thank you. Yeah.
We'll be putting Dr. Chengo's number here. you can also reach out even for anyone else who needs to see a specialist in that line, so that you can also get help. So we have answered the questions. There is one here, the final one for the evening. Irene, to you, it's been directed to you. My daughter is 9 years, still not yet toilet trained. It's a real struggle, but we are trying. I would appreciate tips from Irene. I'm worried now that teenage is approaching.
How, I'd like to know from the question, I know she's 9 and there are levels of how far she has, does she know she wants to use the washroom? How far is she into the training? If you break it down into steps, first, it's the indicator that at least she does know that she wants to use a toilet, or maybe she wets herself, then that you can say that she wants to use a toilet. And then if she does that far, can she sit on the toilet? Then she's not able to relieve herself. Try and do it, break it down into steps. One step is always a conquered step. Don't worry about teenagehood coming. Everything happens at its own time. Toileting is usually the hardest part, I can tell you that for sure. My daughter didn't learn toileting until I think she was 5 years. But I broke it down into steps. As in, I wanted to know if she can go to the toilet on her own, if she can actually know, if she knows whether she wants to use the washroom, if she has stopped wetting herself, and then that was one milestone that we had conquered, then she could actually go to the washroom. The long call was the hardest part because she was fearful of what was coming out of her body. I think the wetness didn't worry her as much as the long call, but it took we had to actually now show her practically that these things do happen. When it gets to a point where they can't understand, for me, I'm talking about how I have raised my girl. And then also even in the same thing happened when I was training her on her menses, to understand that when she sees a spot, that this is what is happening. Timing was, for the pads also was the same thing, that if you go to when you wake up in the morning, you shower, you change your pad. Tea time at school, at break time, I would remind her to have her pad changed lunchtime so that she doesn't mess herself. And to be very honest, that is how she has been able to redo her menses even today. She changes per the clockwork in her body, not because the pad is wet, but because it is time, the times that she has been told how to do it. It doesn't matter how many pads she uses in a day, because there are about 4 or 5, as long as she doesn't mess herself. So break down the toileting training into bits. Actually, if you want me to send you something about toileting, I can. Share with me your number. I will share you something on how to do the toileting, so that we don't keep everybody here for a long time. But don't be worried about teenage. It's actually very easy and it's fun if you get to be a friend to your children. You learn a lot from them as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm typing some of the contacts that can places that we can get help, especially for Doris and any other caregiver who's going through the same. So there are 2 that we are putting out there, and so that we can get help. So I'm just putting this as we now conclude, and just 1 minute to 7:09. Okay. So with those numbers, you may be able to get help for the condition that Doris, and I know some of us also, yes, may be going through. We want to come to an end. Actually, to be honest, we've never stretched to this time, but I think it is important, or it was important. We want to thank every last one of us for creating the time, being patient up to this point. We do not take it for granted. Our panelists, thank you so much. I don't know if you want to say, give a parting shot, or any of us who wants to give a parting shot, or do I wrap it up for us?
I'm just gonna say good night, and we shall see each other soon. To everyone.
Thank you, Paul, for that. Mr. Kilabi? Okay, Irene, do you want to say any parting shot? Do you want to give any?
Thank you all for listening. I hope we made sense, and looking forward to hearing more from you. I'm always a phone call away.
Okay, thank you so much. To all of us, we are very grateful. We wish you a blessed evening, and we want to close with the word of prayer. We want to request, Anthony, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we want to close with a word of prayer. So thank you for all of us. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this time and for the meeting that we've had. Thank you for the panelists, for the participants. And we just want to pray and ask for a special blessing upon every last one of us who's been here and who will also get to watch later. Be with us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Okay,
Amen.
thank you so much. And God bless you. Have a blessed night.
Amen. Same to you.
Thank you so much, Nigel.
Yes, welcome.
Watu wako pale.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
All right, good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.